Good afternoon and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. My name is David McClure. I'm the Minister Emeritus here at the South Hill Unity, and it was my honor and privilege to minister with and to Helen and Marv for many years, both here and at our North Side ministry as well. Thank you for coming and bringing your love and support for the family and for the ongoingness of this amazing person that we come today to honor, Marv Soehren. Our hearts are overflowing with gratitude for the privilege that we've had of knowing Marv and sharing with him on this planet. Though we may also have a sense of loss today, we also are here today filled with thankfulness for the gift of Marv's presence in our lives and for the laughter that he shared and gave to us and still echoes in this hall and in so many other places. A love that bloomed between Marv and so many of us. We cherish the memories we hold dear and the moments that we will forever hold as a source of comfort, joy, and inspiration. Today we are filled with the solace, the supreme solace, in the knowledge that Marv is at peace, once again united with his sweetheart, Helen. May they be walking together today, free from pain, free from suffering, and free to once again immerse themselves in your everlasting love. We bless Marv and Helen's family today, and those whose hearts are still filled to overflowing with the love and gratitude in their relationship with these wonderful people. We have gratitude today that Marv spent some time with us in his physical body, and now he shares his spiritual body with his sweetheart. We surround them both with your comforting presence and strength to heal and to keep on keeping on. No doubt that his absence seems to leave a void in our lives, yet we know we are all sharing together in continuing to live our lives to the utmost. May their memory be a blessing and a constant reminder to live with kindness and compassion, good humor, and with the same spirit that enriched our lives for so long. We are forever grateful for the gift of knowing them, and we hold them close in our hearts until we meet again. In loving celebration, we gather today. Marvin Frederick Soehren passed away peacefully on August 23rd, 2024, of a broken heart after losing his wife Helen in April of 2022. He is survived by his sons Larry and Larry's wife Mary and Craig and Craig's wife Pauline, 4 grandchildren, Lisa, Megan, who's married to Matt, Madison and Chase, married to Allie, 2 great-grandchildren, Rebecca and Paul, and several cousins, nieces, and nephews. He was preceded in death by his parents, Brother Donald and sister Darlene. Marvin was born to John and Marion Dorgan Soehren on May 9, 1932 in Mott, North Dakota. Soehren on May 9th came into this world to bless it. At the age of 12, the family packed a flatbed truck. I don't know if it was that truck or not. It might have been. And he and his brother Don traveled in the back of this flatbed truck. They headed for Portland, Oregon, and they stopped in Spokane to visit friends, but never left. He graduated from Rogers High School in 1950, and after a 2-year enlistment in the National Guard, where he was stationed in France during the Korean conflict, he went to school at Kinman Business University. There he met Helen Lindquist in February of 1953. Oh, what a year 1953 was. They were engaged by September and were married on May 29th, 1954 in Brewster, Washington. Helen's hometown, by the way. They were all destined that they would be together. There were moments of destiny that Marv and the family loved to talk about how their lives were destined to come together. After graduating from Kinman with an accounting degree, Marvin started work in the trust department at the Old National Bank, where he worked for, are you ready for this, 36 years. While managing the Spokane Foundation account at ONB, he worked with other community members as well as the Junior League to form the Spokane Community Foundation, which is now known as Innova Foundation. That was in 1974. And he was one of the signatories on the founding documents. After retiring from the bank, he went to work at the administration of Spokane Baptist Association homes, which included Lilac Plaza, where in theory he was Helen's boss, in theory, and Holman Gardens. After his final retirement in 1995, he and Helen enjoyed their lives with good friends such as Lou and Norma Petrelli, and together their adventures took them on cruises to Las Vegas. I guess you can cruise to Las Vegas. And on the road in their RVs with an ever-growing group of friends and family. Throughout retirement, Marv and Helen spent most mornings with the walking crew at Northtown Mall, where they made many close friends. Memorial donations can be made to the Soehren Family Fund at Innova Foundation, Hospice of Spokane, or the charity of your choice. The family would like to thank the loving caregivers of Hospice of Spokane, Generations Home Care, and Skyline Adult Family Home for making Dad's last few months peaceful and comfortable. We can truly say his life was well lived and well loved. So here we are again faced with the passing of someone that we love dearly. Your presence here indicates that. And our hearts cry out with a sense of separation, and there are no easy answers to the question, why do we leave the planet? Why do we pass away and go on? Our hearts, something inside of us tells us that we're meant to live, not to die. And we're meant to express our lives even more effectively and powerfully. And when someone we love seemingly fails to do this, we wonder why. We have learned that to understand the meaning of death, we must first understand the meaning of life. Looking at life, we see that all things change. But although all things change, nothing perishes. And if this is true in the world of things, how much more it must be true in the world of the mind and the heart. Each soul has a substance of its own that's no less permanent for being immaterial, no less real for being invisible. We cannot measure it with calipers. Sure, we cannot weigh it on scales or on a balance. We cannot feel it with our fingers or see it with our eyes. But it is there, substantial and real. It changes, but it will never perish. Life did not begin with birth. It does not end with death. Life is an eternal process, an eternal progress. And in a visible form that we have, this audible voice, this aggregation of organs that we are, a network of ideas, we are this, but we are so much more than this. These are the trappings of visibility. We are expressions of the spirit of life itself. And whether we are in a body or not, we are life and we are alive. The truth is that we cannot die, and we are the energy of life, the expression of life, and in and through us, life goes on. There is a unity beyond the unities of time and place, and even thought, a unity that links us as one. Does not love link us with our friends, though they be on the other side of the earth? So when these loved ones pass away and go beyond the reach of our hands, it doesn't end our love or what's going on in our hearts. What is on the other side of death, we do not know, but we are sure of this, that it is life. Life is on the other side of death as it is on this side. Death is a door through which we pass into another room. It is a rest between two notes of an unfinished symphony. It is a page we turn to a new chapter in the book of life. It is not the end. It is a new beginning. It is not the fall of night. It is another dawn. My wife Donna and I have known the Soehrens for quite some years, both serving in ministry here in this sanctuary, but also on the north side when they moved out there. We've known them always as a tall, regal, elegant couple who always reached out in joy, kindness, and greeted you that way always. They had a never-ending radiance about them and an enthusiastic sense of life. Perhaps this poem would describe where they are now. Picture yourself standing on a seashore, and a ship at your side spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. And you stand and you watch her until at length all you see is a speck of white with the sky and the sea come to mingle with each other. And then someone who's watching with you says, there, she's gone. Gone where? Gone from your sight, that is all. She is just as large in mast and hull and spar as she was when she left your side, and she is just as able to bear her load of living weight to her destined harbor. Her diminished size is not in her, but in me. And at the very moment when you are watching this ship carrying Marvin, Helen, someone at your side says, they've reached the horizon and now they've gone. Gone where? Out of our sight, that is all. Out of our sight. And as we see them disappear, other eyes are watching their approach, and other voices are ready to take up the glad shout. Here they come. There are people in this room who know Marv a lot more deeply and more kindly than I do, and we're going to listen to them share their insights with you now, and we're going to call on Marv's two sons to begin the sharing.
It is water.
Yep, clearly this is just water.
We told Deanne that. She's a coordinator.
Yeah, we promised. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Just seems like a lot of us were here. It's just been a couple years and probably not the most excited to come back, but we're here to celebrate a great husband, a great father, and a great leader in our community and in all of our families.
On behalf of the family, I'd just like to thank you all for being here. It's been kind of amazing the number of cards, texts, emails, phone calls that we've got since Dad's passing, and just to hear that the effect that he had on both his friends and his coworkers from work and the effect he had on his clients. We just thank you so much for all of those. It's been a great comfort during this time.
So I remember when Dad retired from the bank, they had a little celebration down at the Spokane Club. I remember commenting that how he had quietly cut this wide swath through the community. And if we look around the room today, at all the people here, it's sort of testament to that he touched a lot of lives. And but he did it quietly, like I said, but he had a great effect on a lot of people. One of the effects he had is everywhere we went as kids, he seemed to know somebody. And we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't get away with anything. And so we've cursed our kids with that. Which has been great because we tell them they can't get away with anything either. So they know that the eyes are upon them and they've upheld our saintliness. You're going to hear us refer a lot to Mom and Dad, not just Dad, because they were inseparable, as David said. You really can't talk about one without the other. And you also may hear us occasionally today or hear the term Bum Bum. And that was the nickname that he came by when our daughter Maddie, when she was little, couldn't say Grandpa, or I don't know exactly what you were trying to say, but it came out Bum Bum. And so he's been Bum Bum for many, 27 years now, 28 years. Yeah, she didn't want me to say that. I'm going to tell you about these toys real quick. So these were a couple of toys that Dad got when he was about 8 or 9 years old back in North Dakota. And he kept them, and then when Craig and I were young, he let us play with them. And, of course, we treated them with all sorts of reverence and ran them through the dirt and the rocks and the water, and we trashed them pretty good. And a few years ago, several years ago, I guess, we had an idea for Christmas. So I was like, for Christmas, what do you get your parents for Christmas? So I said, well, we have these trucks. And we had a guy that we worked with, and those of you from Kimley Haygood will remember Jack Roundtree. And he did a lot of restoration work. He did toys, he did traffic lights, all kinds of stuff. So we talked to Jack, and he went ahead and we engaged with him to restore these two toys to their vintage. He researched it, got the colors right, got the new parts that you can get on the internet. You can get anything on the internet. And we gave them to Dad for Christmas. We regifted them probably 10 or 15 years ago to him at Christmas. And it was pretty emotional day for us and for him. And he acted like an 8 or 9-year-old kid, which was awesome. So it worked. So that's the story of the trucks, and we're going to have them over there. You can look at them. Jack even hired, for those of you that know cars a little bit, Don Odell's a detailer, pinstriper guy, and so on the side here, he had it done so it says Marv's Towing on the side. So pretty neat little toy.
And in my mom and dad's old apartment at Fairwood Village, my grandson, right there, Paul, loved taking the tow truck, hooking on the car, and running down the sidewalk or going down the halls. It was great fun. But as a kid, my memories of Dad were him going to work on the bus, sometimes working at home at nights and weekends, and being there for dinner, and always doing what Mom asked him to do. Smart man. He generally had a calm manner, but there was, in thinking of today, I thought of two instances it wasn't quite as calm. The first one is Mom and Dad really made a mistake when they bought their house on Fotheringham. They bought a house that had a window in the garage door. The problem is the garage door was on our basketball court. And, I had dreams of being an NBA player one time, and so I thought. And so it was the neighborhood pickup basketball deal, and so after, I lost count after about 3 times where I broke the window, plus a plate glass, a window in the front, kicking a football through it. The Dad was on...
Don't forget the time you threw a spear into the shrub and it went through the basement window.
Okay, that too. I didn't want to bring that one up.
Yeah, I do.
But finally, with the fear of losing his homeowner insurance, Dad finally got the smarts to put plexiglass in the mirror, and all was safe. We could play basketball without worry. The other time, we took the family vacation to Disneyland, and like everybody did back in the day, and we drove. You didn't fly back then. And as boys of 13 and 10, you're driving through Oregon and California, you're going, this is really boring, we're going restless. So we decided, let's do some calisthenics in the back seat. Well, it was great. We came up with this exercise. It had to have been him.
Right.
And so we thought we'd start doing toe touches. So we'd reach down and touch our toes. Dad starts looking at Mom. We're not paying attention to this. Dad's looking at Mom. The car's lurching down the road, and he's going, what's going on? Well, it was pretty apparent what the problem was, and it was with no sense of, I don't know if it was irritation or just relief that when we copped of what was going on, and that was what was causing the lurching down the road. So we escaped that one.
Briefly.
Dad taught us many lessons about living a good everyday life. As I said, Dad worked at home in the evenings. However, he had one client, our former mayor of Spokane, who tended to not call him during work hours and would invariably, occasionally, call on Saturday mornings. And it invariably was when we were having breakfast. And back in the days where Mom would actually cook breakfast for us on Saturdays. So she'd pick up the phone, find out who it was, and give the phone to Dad and give him the stink eye. And it wasn't pretty. My dad, though, would spend plenty of time talking with him, answering all of his questions, plotting the latest scheme that he had going on and what he was going to do for the city of Spokane. And at the end of the day, it was one of those instances where just watching him deal with his clients and the care and trust that he got from them, it was something that I think that carried on with Larry and I and helped us significantly in our careers.
So one thing Dad did when we were kids, and some of you that worked at ONB will remember the trust department was on the second floor, is he'd go to work on weekends sometimes, and so he'd take us with him, which we're trying to figure out why, because we would just run crazy all over the floor and cause chaos and tear apart office supplies and all that stuff. We both tried that with our kids, and I remember taking the kids to the office, and the Coloring books didn't work. The little button thing didn't work. The little gun thing that I had to shoot the balls with were at me. But so we didn't really get a lot of work done, thinking maybe he didn't get a lot of work done either, but it was still a great memory and great fun, and we gave Mom a break.
Yeah. But the other great thing about the second floor at the U.S. Bank building is the windows opened, okay? And that really came into play during the Lilac Festival. We had parades, right? So we'd go down there, we'd pack up the bag of food, we'd have popcorn. Occasionally we'd get, candy bars and stuff. Mom didn't really let us do a lot of sugar back in those days. But that was a treat for us. But look, the crazy thing was we'd open the windows and we'd actually, of course, occasionally maybe go sit on the ledge. What were they thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. That was Craig. I should add one thing. While Dad was still working in the bank late in the career there, Craig started working at Kimley Haygood, and one of his first buildings was managing the old National Bank building. And Dad was forever proud to tell everybody that his kid was the building manager, and that was just kind of the highlight of one of his highlights of his life. After they retired, Mom and Dad, as David said, got into the RV travel world 30-some years ago and traveled with Lou and Norma Petrelli. They were best friends, and kind of we think of them as our other parents and our sisters over here. Part sisters, and that group grew a lot as time went on, and I think it peaked. We had one of our regular outings at Riley Creek Campground, and it was their 60th wedding anniversary, and we had a huge party there for that's where they wanted to go. They didn't want to go to a fancy venue or anything. They wanted to be camping at Riley Creek, and when we were counting that day, I think we had 4 generations of people there, friends and family, that all came to celebrate. And I may have mentioned the happy hour thing last time we were all here, but kids would show up. Happy hour had to start right at 5 o'clock. We're not late. Don't anybody be late. And the kids would show up about 4:30 and circle out in front of the campsites because there was always a lot of food and they wanted to eat the food. We had at least 2 kids, some of whose grandparents are here today, who went to school the first day of school and said, "What did you do this summer?" And these kids would go, "Well, we went to happy hour." So there was some splaining that had to be done on that one. But the picture, I just throw in that the picture that was in the obituary was of their 60th wedding anniversary, the event that I was just telling you about now up at Riley Creek.
As David said when he read the obituary, and if you read it online, one of the things that Dad, and what I call one of his major highlights other than his family, was being part of the group that started with the Junior League, the Community Foundation here in Spokane. We're really fortunate to have one of those other two founders with us today, Mary Heath, and the first executive director, Gene Egger, are with us back there. Thanks for coming. But when I started work at Kimley Haygood, one of the things, and Dad was instilled in us the notion of community service, and you always gave back to your community. And early on in my career, he was still involved with the foundation, and he stayed involved significantly later, well into his 80s as a member of the finance committee. But my first couple of years at Kimley Haygood, he got me involved on the distribution committee, and for some reason, they put me on the board, and eventually I became board president 6 years after him. And we'd always get together, not too infrequently at family gatherings, and we'd always reminisce about what's going on at the foundation. When he and I were president, the foundation had a net asset value of about $6 million. Fast forward to today, and it's $200 million. That was the vision that they had back in 1974, and it's been realized today. The sad thing about today is Monday night, Innovia is having their 50th anniversary celebration, and in preparing for that, they did a couple of events last year, and they got some of the founders on video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But I in my heart of hearts, my hope was that Dad was going to make it to the 50th celebration. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Okay.
The other thing about Dad at work is, he did the foundation, but it was one of those things, as Larry said, he was Dad. And I didn't really realize the effect he had on others. When he left U.S. Bank after 36 years, I was walking the halls of Kimley and Haygood one day, and Ed Kimley, our founder, came up to me and he said, hey, I heard your dad left the bank. I said, yeah, 36 years. He goes, well, I'm moving my business. If Marv Soehren's not at the bank, I'm moving. And it's one of those things where I didn't even know Ed knew Dad that well or that he was even a client. But, I mean, it just kind of struck home to me what effect he had because to Larry and I, he was just Dad.
Yep. And Dad was all in on family and friends. He loved to help us with projects when we were young. He loved seeing his grandkids. And we always hoped that Dad would answer the phone when we needed babysitting because Mom might be busy a little bit. But then later watching the family grow and the addition of his great-grandchildren that are sitting here in the second row. So he was pretty proud of all that. They loved to come watch us do our rec league sports. So whether it was basketball or softball or rec league football, they wanted to be there to watch. They wanted to watch all of us that are in the room here to play. What they really wanted to do was go to the local watering hole afterwards and help us all replenish our liquids so that everybody was ready and healthy to go back to work the next day. And they enjoyed the friendships that they got, particularly with the Northtown Mall group, which is, where did you go? They're here. The walking group is here. There they are. And they were very close friendship. And they started walking at Northtown Mall when they retired at 62 and steadily did that right up till when Mom passed. And I was lucky enough to join Dad for several times afterwards. An amazing group of people, and I'm just glad you guys are all here today because it meant a lot.
So one thing that Dad was known for was hugging. That became a problem when the girls started dating. And so I had this deal going that if a boy was going to meet Dad, if they got serious enough to meet the grandparents, so to speak, it was like I had to get to that young man and say, okay, be prepared. This could be painful, but just be ready. And so Matt was my last one who had that talk with, and I think it turned out okay.
Yeah. Dad occasionally was known to just randomly break out and start dancing in the kitchen, the campsite, somewhere. I don't know if he ever did it at the mall, but if he heard a song, he might have done that. He just loved to dance, and Mom and Dad loved to dance together, but he'd dance by himself too. And he was just truly joyful. And he just enjoyed life, and sometimes it was a little embarrassing, but it was I kind of wish he was dancing right now. He probably is.
Actually, I think he is. So there's a lot of great things about my dad, but probably the greatest thing he ever did was assist me in courting of my wife, Pauline. There were really two things that made it happen. One, my wife was in nursing school, and there was no men, so she was desperate. The other one...
I mean, look at him.
But the other thing is after bringing Pauline over to the house a couple times, she got to see how Dad helped my mom, and that he did the dishes, he helped clean the place. And that was the thing that modeling of good husbandly behavior kind of was one of the things I think at the end of the day that thought that she could throw a ring in the hat with me. So I'm thankful for that.
So Mom and Dad had a love and devotion that was unmatched and amazing. They were known for always holding hands, whether they were walking the halls at Fairwood or at Northtown Mall. Lots of pictures of that. And they weren't just holding each other up, they actually meant it. And we didn't learn till Mom passed that Dad told us that he always slept on his side facing Mom for his whole life. He would never roll around or anything. He would just sit there facing her at night, and so always. And so we had one granddaughter commented that, are we sure we can find another love like that today? It was pretty remarkable. And as David said, he loved telling the story of these random events that brought us all together. And to them, it was divine order, and it's certainly a story that we're all thankful for, and I'm glad that we're all a part of it with you. So thank you.
As I wrap up, I'm just filled with a ton of memories of Dad and all the small lessons that he taught me and Larry to lead us to where we've been able to be successful today. He had such a meaningful and exemplary life as far as I'm concerned. I feel blessed to have had him here with us for 92 years. I'll miss sitting next to him on the couch, holding his hand like I did for the last 2 years. That was a thing that Lisa taught me to do because he missed holding my mom's hand. But I'm happy he's back with the woman he loved and treasured. So, when you get a chance, raise your glass and have a toast, vodka and water, and think of Dad for a life well lived and loved.
Cheers, Dad. We miss you.
Thank you, gentlemen. There are others who might want to say a few words about this amazing gentleman. And by a few, I mean a few words, because there will be time after when we have the reception when you can share stories. So I reserve the right to close you down if you're going on and on. Except for these guys, they can go on and on all they want. Thank you for sharing all that beautiful insight into your father. So I believe there's another member of the family that wishes to rise to the occasion here. So go ahead.
Is it working? Okay. Okay, there's a lot of people here. I'm Maddie, Marv's granddaughter, the founder of Bum Bum, 28 years old, as my dad let everyone know. I wasn't really able to speak at my grandma's funeral, so I'm going to kind of talk about both of them in this, which has kind of been the theme of everyone else's. I kind of started writing this while we were with him. I can't tell if I'm crying because I'm nervous or I'm sad, but while we were waiting with him, while he was about to go, and I can't see. I was just really thankful to be there, and I didn't realize how much of an honor it was to be able to spend his final moments with him. Actually, that morning, I found a picture of him and my grandma, and I showed it to him, and he smiled, and he looked at me and said, "Okay, I'm ready." So I think that just kind of speaks to like the love that they had for each other never faded, and it really cascaded down to the rest of us in the family, and everyone in this room really just kind of spread to everyone they interacted with. On the hugging note that was mentioned earlier, I remember at family gatherings, every time we would leave, he would go to each of the 4 grandchildren and hug us really tightly and start tearing up and say, "You're so precious." And he did it like every single time with all 4 of us, and that was just normal to me. And now that I'm an adult and know, like, we were just so lucky that we had, like, our grandparents loved us that much. So I'm definitely gonna, like, that will carry with me forever, and in my relationships with people and all of that. I'm just thankful that I got to learn how to love from people like them. And then, yeah, so the last couple years, as Craig mentioned, we spent a lot more time with him. And every time I'd visit him, he would ask how we were doing, and then he probably would say it like 5 times every time I was over there. He'd just say, "I'm so proud of my family," over and over and over again. And it really was like we were proud of them, I think, and proud of him and how he was handling everything, and just so grateful that we had them. They came to every single volleyball game that I had. I'm pretty sure they drove all across the state to go watch me play at state. They were at every single thing that all of us did. They were at all of our graduations, just very present in all of our lives, and I'm just so grateful that I got to have a relationship with my grandparents like that. The last thing I'll mention is Riley Creek, which has come up a lot. With Lou and Norma, every morning I would go over and play solitaire with my grandpa, which is a 1-player game, but somehow we played it together every morning while my grandma was in the back getting ready, and she would just chime in on little conversations that we were having. And then sometimes they'd have lunchtime gin fizzes with Lou and Norma, and I would go over and get a glass of juice and go sit and have lunchtime happy hour with them. So, yeah, that was, they found a way to make everyone feel included in those happy hours, even when we were too young to drink. So they really just, I found one of her journals when we were going through all their stuff, and she journaled every day when they were camping, and one of the notes is, we had 35 people at happy hour tonight. So they really just brought the party everywhere they went. It's no wonder that we all ended up this way. But yeah, I'm just grateful to have those memories to look back on. And it's awesome. I'm really honored that I'm their grandchild. It's kind of unfair that you don't get to have your grandparents forever. That would be cool. But here we are. Yeah, I have millions of stories, but that's just kind of the highlights of my relationship with my grandpa and my grandma. So I did it.
And now we open this up to others who may want to share. If you are interested in speaking, if you would line up over on this side and take your turn at the mic. Why don't you head that way if you have some thoughts and memories that you'd like to share. They let anybody in here.
It looks like they let tall people in here. I see your dad in your eyes. And, he was also a founding member of our Unity Center on the north side, he and Helen. And there was never doubt in how much they loved and cherished all of the family. They were so proud of all of you. And to witness your presentation is just, it was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing so much and for your sharing. As their minister for 26 plus years, they made me a better husband. They did. Because I would witness how much they loved and cared for each other, and how Marv would always drop Helen off in front of the church and go park the car, and then she would wait for him in the entryway. And they just loved each other so deeply. They reverenced each other so clearly that it just inspired me in ways to be a better husband to my beautiful wife, Chris. And you talk about Marv dancing. God, many times he would come into the church and they would be preparing the service, and they would be practicing the music, and I would walk up to Marv and to give him a hug, and here we would both start doing this thing like this. And it was just, the relationship with him was so pure. And with your mother, it was so pure and so beautiful. And they supported us in so many ways. I was privileged to be their minister, and they ministered to us as much as we ministered to them. And so they were, and I'm sure they still are, radiant examples of divine love and divine light, that it just poured forth from them. Thank you for honoring him in such a beautiful way, and honoring Helen. God bless you.
I feel like I'm going to echo what a lot of people have said, but it is true. Just the love that they made so known to everyone in their life. From the time I was a littlest kid, I just knew how much they loved me. Marvin was always there, always supportive. Every family gathering, those back-breaking hugs and the tears in his eyes when my parents would have us spend the night at their house because, you know, they were having a nice deserved date night or something. I remember him making up the bed on the couch in the basement and waking us up with Eggos and pineapple juice in those little glasses, and we would have dance parties with their stereo system in the front room. And he was just supportive. He went to the volleyball games. He would give in to any sort of little play that we wanted to do. I remember family dinners where he would just so lovingly and patiently sit there while I stood behind him in his chair and played with his hair and brushed it and put clips in it because I didn't have a dad who had hair where I could do that. But he still had long, luxurious hair that I could run my fingers through and play with and put little ponytails in. And like, those are memories I have of just how much, no matter what we wanted, he was there to make us happy and show us that we were loved and supported and cherished. And he continued that throughout his whole life. When I brought Matt into the family, he just immediately scooped him right up and treated him just like he was a grandson. He was always so interested in, like, how's work going? Are you traveling anywhere? He wanted to truly know people. It wasn't just an act. And when you told the story about the hugs, the thing that I thought of is the first time that he met my in-laws was at my graduation party from grad school. And he walked right up to my father-in-law, Tim, and gave him a hug so big he lifted him off the ground. He had that love for everyone in his life. It was so genuine. It was not fake. He was just a joy and a light to be around, and he made everyone around him feel loved. And we are also blessed to have had as much time as we had with him. Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned before, there will be plenty of time at the reception following this service to share stories and anecdotes. But a beautiful video has been prepared to honor Marv. So, Julian, I think we're ready for the picture show.
but sometimes I don't know why. And time seems to go by so fast. In the twinkling of an eye, let's enjoy it while we can.
Let's enjoy it while we can.
Help me share my love.
Help me share my love.
On the dark and lonely street to the bright side of the road. Work it. Maybe sometime I don't know why. And it seems to go by so fast. In the twinkling of an eye, let's enjoy it while we can.
Let's enjoy it while we can.
Help me sing my song.
Help me sing my song.
Little darling, come along.
On the bright side of the road.
On the dark end of the street,
On the dark end of the street.
to the bright side of the road.
To the bright side of the road.
Little darling, come on, look.
On the bright side of the road.
On the dark end of the street,
On the dark end of the street.
to the bright side of the road.
To the bright side of the road.
The love was once again.
On the bright side of the road.
Well, we be. The love was once again.
On the bright side of the road.
On the dark end of the street, to the bright side of the road. We be lovers once again.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that expression of love and talent. Amazing. You know, I've given hundreds of sermons from this podium up here over the years, and one thing I've noticed is sometimes the congregation finishes before I do. And anyway, I go to the door usually and greet people as they're leaving, and I often wonder, were they able to take something from what I said that day and incorporate it into their lives? I know Marvin Helen always praised me and encouraged me and hugged me and told me what a great sermon it was. And others would too, but I often wondered, when they leave this place and go out to their car and get in their car and go back into their everyday lives, would they be able to take an idea, a thought that I had shared that morning and make it a part of their everyday life? Could they incorporate the ideas into the very fiber of their being? Well, we've heard so many amazing things about Marv here today. And you have described many of the qualities that endeared him to you. Your presence here today has honored him and blessed him. But my question is, can you also make those qualities a part of your life that you so much admired in him? For that is the way we honor the life of others, not just by attending a service like this, but getting out of here, going out of here, and being a Marv Soehren in your own unique and wonderful way, by letting your light shine as you admired his light and celebrated it today. So I'd like to just take that thought with you and meditate on it. And so let us close our time together in prayer. He has taken on invisibility, dear Lord. I cannot see. But this I know, although the road ascends and passes from my sight, there will be no night. You will take him gently by the hand and lead him on along the road of life that never ends. And he will know not death, but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as here, and that you will always hold him dear. Our life did not begin with birth. It is not of this earth, and this that we call death is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be on this one where we rest momently? So, Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees and for the love that knows it cannot lose its own. A love that, looking through the shadows, sees that you and he and we are ever one. Now, to close our time together, we're going to sing a song that Soehren sang for a lot of Sundays. Let there be peace on earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my
a microphone that works, yes. You wait till the